Well, there it is. Hey guys, this is Witty and welcome to a video regarding the new map pool for Warcraft 3. So there's been some hubbub about this on the Battle.net forums. Matt Morris, a developer for Blizzard who actually worked on Warcraft 3, says the following. Greetings, Classic Games is excited to announce Warcraft 3 PTR will be live in the coming days. Focus will be on the new map pool. The China Joy show match on the updated Terenas Stand between Fly and 120 was the debut of the types of improvements we can't wait to share. The new map pools will be a mixture of three things. Must-haves from the current pools, classic maps from the older pools, and new ladder version maps. The ladder version maps, LV, which is the short abbreviation for it, are original maps that have undergone significant improvements. Below is an overview of our objectives and specific lists of changes by pool. So take some time to read up on the new LV maps in the coming days, so you will be well prepared when the PTR goes live. Well, obviously it's super exciting that we may get a PTR, so we can test these maps and see exactly how they play. But I can actually show you these maps only on the world editor though. But I'll get round to that in a moment. General improvements in gameplay objectives. Balanced creep camp difficulty progression from early to late game. So that's to suggest that you have more green camps nearby your starting position. So that way you have more progression towards moving towards the middle and approaching the more difficult creep camps. Balanced creep drop tables for better item progression from early game to late game. So better stuff. Sort of, well, it's probably more balanced, at least how Blizzard would assume it to be balanced. No sort of like, I better not say this because I haven't checked all the maps vividly yet, but I would assume that they intend to make it so that you don't get claws of attack +9 on the first creature you attack or kill. Do you know what I mean? Item diversity, varied level 1 through level 6 charged items on level 1 through 6 permanent items. So they've just basically made it a bit more interesting as to what might drop. Hopefully they've given more variety so we can see some more strategies, perhaps, revolve around certain item drops. Who wants to get a fast Book of the Dead and rush the enemy? I know I do, and I know a lot of people might like to see that. So that's hopefully what they're aiming for with that, is a way to encourage people to mix up their strategies based on the items that could potentially drop. And if they give us more of those items, then damn, that's a good thing. Balanced all start locations, total amount and starting distance from lumber, equal amount of spacing, equal size choke points, etc. So this is in regards to certain maps, particularly older maps, having really weird gaps of lumber between the main base and, well, the lumber itself. It's just like your peasants have to travel so far, so they tried to bridge the gap so it's more realistic on each map that you should get the same results. You should bring in the same amount of wood roughly over time, as opposed to certain maps where you've got to travel much further, so it's going to be a lot longer before you can tech, for example. They have balanced expansion distance from start locations, so I don't know about that. I checked some of the maps the other day and some of those distances looked a bit close, but according to them, they're trying to make it so that it's a bit more realistic. Decluttered points of interest to reduce visual competition during gameplay. So I guess they dulled things down a little. I don't know if that's necessary. Warcraft 3 is a pretty darn old game. You could actually spruce up a lot of the maps, to be honest. I mean, if you've seen some of the stuff Film Things created, sort of like give the maps a strong theme, really make the maps pop. That sounds so terrible, but you know what I mean. You know, put some more doodads in, give it more life. Make it feel like it has been lived in. It's an actual bloody place. So I don't know if I agree with that one. It sounds like they want to dumb it down. Retextured map surfaces for better visual clarity, both on screen and minimaps. So that's kind of the same, I suppose. Minimaps minimized the size of trees and doodads that obstructed player view points of interest. So I can only assume that might be where, if you're looking around the corner, or if you have a tree that's right on the edge of the corner that allows you to look into a base, it would be changed to a smaller tree as opposed to one of those massive trees. All trees, by the way, are technically the same size, but of course there's different models, and each of those models, even though they might represent the same tree, look bigger than others. So the idea, I suppose, would be to make those trees smaller so you can see a bit better. I don't know. Added cliff lines or deep water to edges of the map. Removing hard lines, aesthetic choice for immersion. That's fine. Properly placed trees and doodads on the pathing grid. Full cell medium grid to half cell medium grid alt. Well, there you go. You know that better than I do. Remove the rolling shoreline waves from rolling hills to remove the noise the waves created. Allows people to sleep better at night. So, let's get looking at some of these maps. There's a whole list of these maps, and I'm going to go through not like all 1 versus 1 maps and all 2 versus 2 maps. I'm just going to go through all the maps that they've basically put on the PTR, or they will be putting onto the PTR. So thank you, Matt Morris. Thanks, mate. Right. Let's start off with Plunder Isle. This is the new version of it. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. That's so much better. You may not be familiar with it. By the way, this is what they were talking about at the start. The base is now here. Before, the base, if I can grab it, come here, used to be like there or something stupid. So you had to travel really far, but obviously they've made it a lot more realistic. Come here, you... Right, this guy's trolling me right here. So difficult. There we go. Yeah, it's much better. Oh, whatever, it's disappeared now. Fuck my life. Right, there you go. So they've made it better. Much more accessible trees, much more realistic. So I could go over all the little details. For example, this is a different creek camp. It drops a different item. Before it used to be a tome. I will do that in later videos because this video will go on long enough. This is just basically supposed to be a brief overview. So I'm not even necessarily going to look at all the old maps because that would also take me too long to give you comparison shots because I can only open up one map at a time and look at it at a time. So basically, let's look at the bottom position, for example. This was your original entrance. This has definitely changed. I'm not sure if you can build towers here anymore. I've not been able to test it because when I did, it just basically corrupted on me. So some of these maps I don't think can be tested. Some of them might be able to be played, but I'm sure I'll be able to hopefully play them in the PTR when they're more official. Thanks to Ember, by the way, who gave me a list of these maps. I think these are the maps from NetEase. That's the Chinese client, I believe, for Warcraft 3. And yeah. So that's the alternative entrance. Much better. I like this. It means it's easier to punish this expansion because if you get this expansion up here, you build it here, you get either a bunch of towers here, or if you really want to be ballsy, put them there. You got a ramp here. Enemy have to come up the ramp into towers. Not a good time. Hard to get a good position, particularly if you're orc. You want a lot of space to move with, and you don't particularly have that when there's a big, good old town hall sitting here and, you know, a bunch of towers, blah, 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 like that. Good luck trying to get a good position through here. So this makes you much more vulnerable. Also, the creek camp has changed up here. Again, I could look at all the items and stuff like that. We can do that another time. But the creek camp's changed. Goblin merchant's the same. Gold mine's the same. New creeps. Main difference here is actually this mercenary camp over here. And here. Actually, I should read out the changes of the map. So I'm just going to pull up the 1v1. There we go. So in regards to Plunder Isle, they added a tavern. This is what I'll do. I'll cover basically what they said. Added a tavern to the center of the map. Great. Fantastic. This needs to be done on all maps if they don't already have a tavern. Added 2 mercenary camps. Great. Fantastic. More options. More playability. More strategy. This didn't exist here before. I love it. Thank you very much there, Blizzard. And added an additional path ramp to each player's middle expansion. So this is a huge improvement. Right. First off, Plunder Isle LV is LV stands for the, you know, latest version of the map. Great. Really good on first glance. I'll look at it in detail another time. So, our next map, I believe, is oh, just to let you know, this is a 1 versus 1 map, obviously. It's only for 1 versus 1. I'll let you know what the map types are as we go through them. I'm just trying to find... Oh, that's why I can't find it. Bandit Ridge. I will show you it. It's an original map, and when they say this, for example, I'm looking at this over here. This is an original map. If that's what that says, that means it is untouched so far. They've just put this, or intend to put this onto the ladder pool. Which is a bad idea, because this map is not that good. I don't see anyone playing it. I've never seen anyone request to play it. I know it's not on the ladder pool. Most people don't even know it exists. It's not terrible. It's got points of interest. It could use some work. I'm not sure if we need cliffs, though. They need to keep avoiding this. This is what they went for a lot on the older maps. Maybe there's StarCraft influence, because StarCraft had a load of ramps. Yeah, this ain't necessary. Why have we got this high? Again, you had the gold mine. I suppose it's like Plunder. It's not a terrible map, honestly. You look at that. You don't say that's a terrible map. I'm okay with it. That's my first glance. It's nothing special. I think there's better maps. A lot of people have been saying, oh, why don't they put Amazonia on there? Why don't they put Last Refuge? These are maps that are played on War3 Arena very often, and for good reason, because they are play tested to the point of, you know, almost breaking. Not in a bad way, in a good way. Like, the pros play them over and over and over, and they find out everything that can be found with these maps. And they seem to satisfy the pros. The pros seem happy with it. Obviously, there's going to be balance issues between certain races and how they can interact. Amazonia might be the biggest issue, with humans suffering being able to get an expansion. But generally speaking, there's a lot of maps in War3 Arena that makes sense. And Blizzard, I'm not sure if they... Well, so far, they've been hesitant. They said they want to stick to their own maps for now, and then they can rotate maps in future. But obviously, we need to voice our opinions in a polite and respectful manner, being as, well, with as much clarity as one can muster without raging. That way Blizzard are much more likely to listen. Okay, moving on to the next map. This is Melton Valley. You know it. You hate it. It's a frozen piece of shit. It's really, it's not that bad. I just don't like playing it, honestly. I find it boring. It's too long. I like to be aggressive. I like to be able to get to my opponent or mess them up. Also, I think there's quite a few balance issues with this map, to be quite frank with you. If it's going to load. You going to load for me, fella? No! Alright, that might happen a couple of times. I don't know why, but it's going to happen, so I'll try to reload this as we go. Meanwhile, I am not going to edit any of this because I'm far too lazy. For one big-ass video like this where I go through every single map, I think this is just going to be me yabbering, rambling on. You can treat this as a semi-podcast to some degree. Obviously, there's visual aesthetics, but I'm going to be describing everything as best as I can. Thank you very much there, mate. Let's pull up the world editor again. Here we go. It takes a little while to load, but we'll get there. I did think about doing something super fancy for this, but then I thought, shit, it's going to take so much time to go over every single map in one video. No fucking chance. Right. Melton Valley. Let's bring this up. Like I say, in future, if I'm going to go over, say, the LV, the latest versions, I could go over that previous map, Plunder Isle, which I talked about fondly there, the changes, and I can go into much greater detail as to how many, you know, what the creek camps have changed into, what the neutral camps are now, how many shops there are, gold mines, what the effects will be, potentially. And that can be its own video. If you guys want to see that, let me know in the comment section below. Obviously, if there's demand for it, I'll do it. If there isn't, then I basically will pass. Simple as that, really. Melton Valley. Kind of hard to show it off when I zoom out this much, but you start here, they start there. You got this really long travel time. Orc Blade Masters like to come over here. They like to kill this guy. They like to pick up a level 3 permanent item and a Rune of Watcher. If they're lucky, they can get to do it again over here. This also has an issue with this creek camp being mass ogres. If you build slightly too close to here, they aggro, so be careful doing that. If you did need to get towers there and undead is pressuring you from here, good luck building towers there. Ain't gonna happen. Expansion's easy enough to do. It's a relatively decent length from your base. There's no issues with that. I think my issue with this camp is it not having some sort of anti-air. Late game into mass withens and stuff like that. I know this is 1 versus 1. You're not necessarily going to get away with that kind of nonsense, but still, you can really take if you get the advantage on your opponent on this map, which is quite easy to do with the Rune of Watcher, which allows you to see what your opponent is doing within the fission. And you've got air units later on. You can just wipe up the floor. That's a lot of experience. Pretty neat item to get out of this guy. What is it that he drops? It's got to be good. Level 4 charge light. And that could be Book of the Dead, Greater Healer Potion, all that kind of stuff. Something fancy. Let's have a look, shall we? Let's have a look, shall we? Oh, yeah, no, better than that. Sorry. Healthstone, Mana Stone, Healing Wards. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, yeah, the map's fine. But I don't want to see this anymore. I don't really 1 versus 1 anymore, but when I did, I didn't like this map. Next map, Road to Stratholme. So this is going to be a bit more This is... Ah, okay. I'm going to have to go over this in like the 1 versus 1 and 2v2. And any maps... What I'll do, basically, is... They've got their descriptions for these maps and the changes they've made in the lists for 1v1 and 2v2. But I'm only going to go over each map once, rather than... Say, for example, they've got Murgul Oasis in the 3v3 pool, 4v4 pool, and maybe 3-for-all pool. But obviously, I'm not going to pull them up for each one of those that we talk about. I'll just pull it up once, and I'll talk about each aspect of it briefly. Now, Road to Stratholme. This is a map. I'm really not familiar with this, to be quite frank with you. It does ring a bell, though, looking at it, and on first glance, it's a pretty good map. It actually looks like a new map. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, this is something Film Team's worked on, or, you know. It's got lots of pathways. I like that a lot. It seems to have a decent... I'll pull this over here so you guys can see the mini-map much better. I apologise for that. Yeah, you got much more accessible creep paths, but they have made some changes to this. Their changes are rotated 3 neutral buildings, so the Goblin Laboratory moved to the Goblin Merchant. So, hang on a second, where's the Goblin Merchant then, mate? Up here. Oh, that's one of the things I think I didn't like too much. Goblin Merchant moved to the Mercenary Camp, which is over here. And the Mercenary Camp moved to the Goblin Laboratory. So this used to be the Goblin Laboratory. That's now where the Mercenary Camp used to be. I don't think that's a good idea, having the 2 mercenary camps so close to each other. I don't like that. I think it was better if it was the shops. It's not a huge deal, but again, if someone's got a bit of a head start or something, they pick up the mercenaries from here, and they're going to put pressure on their opponent. They can very easily, on their way, pick up even more mercenaries to really ram it home. I feel like the mercenary camp should be here. And the laboratory could maybe be here. The shop maybe is okay there. I think the laboratory should be in the middle. That's just my personal opinion. You may disagree, and you're most welcome to do so. I'm not an absolute expert on 1v1 maps, but I just don't like those mercenary camps being there. But other than that, the map looks fine. It's got an extra green camp on either side of the map for each player. I'm going to assume it's that. I haven't actually seen the original Road to Stratholme, and I mean, we could potentially load it, but I don't think we'll worry about it too much. Next map is Terenas Stand. So let's have a look at this. Oh, we know this one. Yes, this has had probably one of the most amount of changes. So, let's start off with it. They've swapped the start location with the Goblin Laboratory. So the Goblin Laboratory used to be here. You used to spawn about here. So what they're saying is, you now start here and the Goblin Laboratory is over here. They've swapped the Goblin Laboratory with the Mercenary Camp. So, hang on a second. Kind of. I suppose so. Because they swapped that with that and then that with that. But basically, the laboratory used to be here. You used to spawn here. And the Mercenary Camp used to be here. All of these changes are fine, in my opinion. I think this does improve the map. But I did notice one massive issue with it. Right from the start, I made an assumption, and my assumption was correct. But I'm going to get onto that. This is a cliffhanger for you to hang in there for another few minutes. Swap 2 center green camps with orange green camps. So basically, this is bizarre. These used to be a few kobolds, nothing too special, not too hard to creep. And now there's a level 8 that drops a level 3 charged item with 2 assassins, 450 health each. It's pretty nasty creep camp. You want to stay away from that, to be quite frank with you. It's not impossible to creep. It's just one of the things I like about it is, I suppose, if you had a big enough army, it's a decent chunk of experience. So I would do that for the experience more than anything else. Otherwise, the creep camps are kind of nice. They're just kind of weird. But you guys, of course, like I say, if you've got any thoughts or opinions on these maps, let me know, and I can maybe bring those opinions and thoughts up in a future video regarding the map specifically. Okay, let's keep going because we're going to go for a while here. It's 19 minutes already. Change the corner player expansions from green camps to orange camps. So this was a green camp before. It's now an orange camp. It's not really that much different. It's a little bit more difficult than the previous creep camp was before. I think one of the reasons I reckon this guy drops, yeah, level 1 now, because the middle guy used to drop a pretty good item. People used to come over here, just kill the middle guy and then bugger off. So I think that's what they've done. Level 3 permanent item though, hang on. 450 health. You're going to take some damage doing this. But that level 3, I believe, can potentially be a clause of attack +9. And 450 health. Ain't that much. Boost of speed as well. That gets you off to a nice start. This is one of the fun things I actually had. And you'll get to see. I want to see. What I'm going to do actually is, just in case, items. We're going to treat this realistically. If you ever want to test how broken a map is, just make a Blade Master and then see what you can creep with it. This is literally what I'm going to do. Just got to find the Circlet of Nobility. I'm going to be blind to it though. So don't mind me whilst I take half an hour looking for this one item. I actually cannot see it there. There we go. Now I can see it. Right. This might not work, but it also might. And I'm supposed to be able to record the screen here, Bandicam, so hopefully this works. This isn't going to be like a super smooth video, and this is, for some reason, when I test from the World Editor, if anyone knows the answer to this, when I test from the World Editor, it runs it in 1600 by 900. I don't know why. I can't at the moment do much about it. I've not really tested it, but anyway. So Blade Master, realistically, come out of the base, go to the shop, pick up Circlet of Nobility. He would have to use one wind walk, so I don't think he'd have that available, to be honest. But we're just going to treat this as you would expect to. Oh my god, I've embarrassed myself. But that is kind of awesome. Would it be nighttime though by the time you came? No, it wouldn't. So fuck, it started at nighttime. That's my... Well, that's unfortunate, isn't it? I can't remember the cheat. To change the time. Warcraft 3. Cheat code. Time. Let's see. I don't think there is one to change it. There's not one that's coming up immediately. It would be daytime, basically. There's creatures that can shadow meld, these creeps. Aha! Gotcha. Wait. There we go. We've used one wind walk anyway. So assuming that we use one wind walk, we travel from there over to here. I don't think you would have enough speed with wind walk to get to here. But if you did, then you're really lucky. Anyway, this is how much money you'd realistically have. Let's see how well this goes. I'm not even going to have to use another wind walk here for bonus damage. That's almost nothing taken. Boost of speed. 250 gold in the bank. Head back. Heal up. Good times. Obviously, you take the risk of taking damage, but the Blade Master always does that anyway, looking for a cricket. So I don't think a 450 health item should drop something. If they really want to balance maps, I know I'm going to be racist against the Blade Master here, but if they really want to balance maps, they honestly just need to test a Blade Master on them. If a Blade Master can get a level 3 permanent item, you need to put that on a tougher creature. That's all I'm saying. There's a lot of items that benefit. The Claws of Attack +6 are still very good for Blade Master, and that's level 2 permanent item. That's very easy to pick up. This is why maps like Gnoll Wood, which are actually, you know, they're coming up. Blizzard are actually keeping Gnoll Wood. They're broken. I like Gnoll Wood. I actually enjoy playing on it. It sucks to play against an orc that knows what they're doing. Though. If you play against an orc that knows what they're doing and they get lucky with items, you may as well just leave. Because they've got complete and utter domination with just a Blade Master. If they get like 3 or 4 Claws of Attack, which they can do within like the first 3 minutes of the game. So bear that in mind. Right, that's enough bitching. Let's get going. So yeah, they moved the starting green camps further away from the start. Oh, you remember that cliffhanger I told you about? You ready for it? Let's see if it's still going to work. It should work because I tested it before. Right. You're a Night Elf player. What do you do? Well, you use an Ancient of War to creep, don't you? So where do you put your Ancient of War? Am I blind again? There he is. Now, originally, you would creep over here, and that would be the Goblin Laboratory. You get a fairly decent bit of experience, and then you waddle over here and do this. So the punishment for doing this creep camp is that there's nowhere easy to waddle to for quite some time. But this creep camp gives you a heck of a lot of experience. Check this out. 14 levels there. That's quite a lot. And, an Ancient of War can creep pretty much anything. And a lot of these have piercing damage, or crappy magic damage, which doesn't... Well, it actually does... It's okay versus Ancient of War, but Wisps, they've got slow attack. They're shitty, basically. So my issue here really was pathing. Now, what do you think I'm going to bitch about here? I cannot get this Ancient of War to build near these creeps, which is what you would do as a Night Elf player. You can build it over here. You can aggro them and pull them over, but they're ranged units. It's a lot of hard work. Okay, fair enough. How about I try it over here? Oh, shit. Yeah, you can't do it down there. But this is the best spot. This is what's going to be issues. I wish Blizzard still have maps, and if they're going to take this seriously, I want not super symmetricality, if that is even a word. I don't want it to be super identical to the point that the map looks super bland. I like it having a bit of flavour. For example, there's gravestones here, and then this time there's like a little house with a hay cart nearby. But for balance sake, make it so that both players can build and get the same advantage. The pathing needs to be exactly the same. This is what you call pathing. You can't build here. Unbuildable. But you can build here. But over here, you'd have to build your Ancient of War all the way over here, which is that bigger gap. Whereas here, it's this bigger gap. That Ancient of War can come over here, eat that tree, and then waddle up and get some attacks really easily. You cannot do the same if you build one from over here. That would cost you about 20 seconds, 15 seconds, something like that. They're really bloody slow at the start. And you can also just move straight over to this creep camp afterwards. Not that you would need to, because it's a piece of piss creep camp. Anyway, that's just me ranting a little bit. If they're going to do this, and they want to take these maps seriously and revitalize them, make sure that both players have exactly the same points of where they can build Ancients of War and stuff like that. Do you see what I mean? Right, I've gone on for so long now, and we still got a long way to go. Tirisfal Glades. That's the next one. Where are you, fella? Oh. Okay. This is an LV, so latest version of an old school map. This map, you used to be on the 1v1. I even remember playing it on the ladder on 1 vs 1, but it feels like a really long time ago. Honestly, I don't like this map very much. I think it's very sort of imbalanced in terms of how many ramps there are. Positioning is really key on this map. It's very easy to get f***ed. So if you walk down this ramp, you come over here, and then your enemy is standing there, GG, because they're going to get a bunch of free hits. You're going to try to run away. To get back up on that ramp, they can get tons of free hits, and then they can just bugger off. There's lots of issues with this map. Mostly that's it. Just the ramps. The map's kind of weird. It's just... I don't know what more to say about it on first glance. One quick fix for it I would have is this. Boom. I don't like maps being too linear. So you could previously only go here. Oh, I've got this thing, by the way. I'm going to have to start using this more often. But you could previously go... You had to go like that to your opponent, or this. Whereas now... Dun dun dun! You got a whole new path! Isn't that fascinating? But wouldn't it be even better if you had a path that went like that? And went like that? Oh, the options! It'd be so nice. It'd be so darn nice. Sorry. Okay. Right. Let's have a look. Let me get control again. Right, here we go. Right. So yeah, that I would make fundamental changes like that. I don't know what really much more to say about this map. They added 2 taverns, so 1, 2, and they swapped the mercenary camp with the gold mines. So you've now got mercenary camp here, where a gold mine used to be, and the gold mine is now down here. So it is more closer to the player themselves. So I guess that makes more sense. And that means you could have a path here, because it wouldn't be right next to the gold mine. Next map. 2 rivers. The 2 rivers. Ah. Right, here we go. Okay. So, this map, I honestly don't think deserves to be on the 1 versus 1 ladder pool. I don't even mind playing it that much, but I do think it's pretty imbalanced. I personally think the bottom player has a huge advantage over the top player. Night Elf, they can build their Ancient of War right here. If you want to do the same, good luck. Not so easy. You have to build it all the way over here, which is way out of position. The bottom also has the gold mine, which I honestly feel is closer than this position. And it's also a lot more narrow. So if the opponent does want to come and creepjack you, or, you know, terrorize you in your territory, you can close the gap much easier. Over here, good bloody luck. They have all this space to run around to avoid you and move around and poke you at. So, yeah, the bottom also feels like it's got a safer path to the laboratory because they've got a bridge right here so they can back off if they see the opponent. Again, for the other opponent, if they come down here, that opponent can come and get them. They've got to walk all the way over here before they get this narrow bridge that they can lose their opponent. So what they did is they put a tavern here and they were like, oh, right, okay, there's a tavern over here. And they swapped the Goblin Laboratory with the mercenary camp. So that's now a mercenary camp, which used to be a laboratory. And this is, excuse me, as I try to find it. Oh, hang on. Oh. They didn't replace it. So now you've just got a mercenary camp. There's no Goblin Laboratory. Which is a shame. No shredder. A mercenary camp's always welcome, but I don't think you should cut things. I know that they want to sometimes give maps certain bits of flavour, like, oh, this is the map without a shop. But look how that turned out. Death knell. So, yeah, I honestly think I'm of the mind that although it would be a little bit... I can't quite remember. Homogenize, is that the word? Homogenization, where every map has the same thing. But I genuinely think that maps are better if they have a shop, if they have a mercenary camp, if they have a laboratory, if they have a marketplace. I think in the long run, that makes the map way more fun to play. And I don't think it really breaks it as long as the laboratory isn't right next to someone's base so someone can get some sappers and chuck them right in there. As long as the laboratories are decent enough distance, why not have one of every single building? It might clutter up the map, I agree, but at least it gives options. I love everything that gives options. So let's move on from this. Bridge too near. Oh, wow. I don't even think I want to even go on this one. Is it here? No. Let's pull it up. Yeah, this is one of those ones where I don't know what they were thinking. Like, they actually updated this map as well, which is strange. They changed the tile set from Lordaeron Summer to Lordaeron Winter. I mean, that's fine. It actually looks kind of cool. Added Mercenary Camp with Goblin Laboratory. I honestly don't even care to look at that right now. And they balanced the number of trees needed to harvest to reach the center of the map for all start locations. So you can get to the marketplace easier. The map's just not good for 1 versus 1. Look at it. How fucking big is this thing? This map is actually alright for 2 versus 2. I've played it. I didn't love it. But I thought, yeah. There's enough things for 2 people on each team to do. I actually think this map is even better suited for free-for-all. Funny enough, this map is actually on the 2v2 ladder pool, so it should be there. But it should not be in the 1 versus 1 ladder pool. I mean, do I really need to describe everything that is wrong with this map in terms of a 1 versus 1 scenario? Seriously, look at it. It's a fucking mess. It looks like Reign of Chaos. There's maps like Reign of Chaos that are very similar to this. No. This is a gimmicky map. 2v2. Stick it in there. Have some fun. Veto it. And then get on with your life. Broken Shard. Oh, it's not getting much better, is it? Broken Shard is the next map. Oh, God. Ugh. I remember playing this when the Frozen Throne actually came out and Ladder had just started and people were just leveling up, and level 12 was a high level account in regards to the Frozen Throne. I didn't like this map then. I don't like it now. It feels really sort of basic and it's lacking personality and flavor. Like this, just this weird shop. It's just so far back. It's not sort of intermingled, or it's not like in between the trees here. I don't know really. Yeah, I wish I could be a little bit more descriptive, because I feel like I'm not giving you full justice here, but I'm hoping that you can use your own eyes, and perhaps if you're familiar enough with how melee works in Warcraft 3, you'll see why this just... No, basically. Honestly, this is starting to break me a little bit. Floodplains. I'm not sure if it's going to get any better. Let's have a look at floodplains. Oh. Alright, this is similar to the bridge too near. It's a little bit too big for 1 versus 1. Perhaps it has a place in the 2v2 ladder. Perhaps it has a place in the free-for-all ladder. But 1 versus 1? I don't know. I don't know. It's also not too dissimilar to Broken Shard, where there's just kind of these... It feels like there's these creep camps that feel like they're a little bit alienated. They're just put in positions that don't really flow with how a player would move. It's almost like a PvE experience. Oh, it's like, I'm going to go shopping. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go here. Or, you know, here, and then over here. I don't like it. It's so weird and out of the place. I don't think you should ever have flying units by important neutral camps. That's just a personal opinion. So remove that. The middle's the most interesting part because you got options. Shop and mercenary camps. That's okay. I actually did something where I changed the tile set to Lordaeron Summer, and I wanted to see how much it reminded me of Twisted Meadows. By the way, I much prefer Twisted Meadows. They're getting rid of that. I think Twisted Meadows is one of the best 1 versus 1 maps and 2v2 maps. It's got so much coolness and variety and flavour to it, and it provides some awesome games. But unfortunately that one's going, and I'm trying to get a flavour for it. But I just don't like this compared to Twisted Meadows. I think this is a downgrade. So there you go. Oh, there's one more map actually. In regards to the 1 versus 1 ladder pool. This will get a bit quicker and easier because I'm not going to cover, for example, Gnoll Wood. It's Gnoll Wood is a 1v1 map, a 2v2 map, and a 3v3 map in the new ladder pools. But obviously I'm going to talk about it now. So when we talk about 2v2 maps and 3v3 maps, I won't have to recover myself because I did that. So, Gnoll Wood, this is an original map, according to them. So there's no changes to this so far, but this is where the Blade Masters reign supreme. Not only do you have the possibility and the likelihood that they're going to be a lucker, and this is going to be a fountain of health, so they can heal up with their Blade Master all day, every day, and they can creep the middle with a Blade Master if they wanted to, if it's a fountain of health. But the Blade Master can always get away if he does get creep jacked. It's not like anyone else that's going to suffer. Level 2 permanent item, 400 hit points. Do you know how quickly this guy? In fact, I'll show you for everyone that doesn't know about this. I don't know why you wouldn't know about this. But for everyone that doesn't know about this, I'll show you fairly quickly what you can do. Now, this is going to come down to luck. I'm an undead blade master. So, we're going to wind walk. We're going to pick up Circlet Nobility, which is what you would do. You're going to kill the Gnoll Brute. This is going to take a little while, but in the grand schemes of things, when a 1 versus 1 match, a couple of minutes, you can get a lot done with the Blade Master. We're going to come over here to the next shop. And basically rinse and repeat. It's the Gnoll that's on the left. So the best way to think about it is it's the Gnoll that's on the right of the middle Gnoll, from their perspective. If you really wanted to, you could just keep picking up Circlets and Nobility to really push him, but that's up to you. That's your prerogative. At the moment, I won't buy any more items in the original Circlet, because that's a natural thing to do. You're starting to get an idea of why this map can be an issue. And that's the Fountain of Health, by the way. I like this map, but I don't think, if Blizzard again want to take things seriously, I don't think they should have this. Because certain races, and it's not just Orc that do well on this map, but certain races do benefit. If a single hero can win the game, it's fucking ridiculous. Oh. My bad. I got that one wrong. Oh yeah, I did, didn't I? Well, anyway, imagine that he dropped an item. It doesn't even matter if it's a Ring of Protection at this point, because you've got 2 Circlets of Nobility. Yeah, I said the one on the left, and then I recorrected myself and said it's the one on the right of the Gnoll's perspective. So I got myself trapped there. So apologies for that. But regardless of that error, imagine there's another Circlet of Nobility here. You'd probably go to the middle at this point, but not long after standing in the middle. And you don't even have to, by the way, aggro these creep camps or use wind walk. You can just stand on the very edge, and you can see I'm healing right now. And you'd be like, okay, that's enough health. Off I go. And you come down here and do the next one. So that's the only one where it's actually kind of on the left, if you see what I mean. But this is on the right. So my bad. But yeah, my point here is this is ridiculous what Blade Master can do. I don't... It's weird. Gloves of Haste, another amazing item for Blade Master. And then he goes to the middle, he heals up, and then when he's strong enough, he'll start creeping the middle. And you don't need a single grunt, you don't need a single nuttin'. So you can either do this, or you can just wind walk and get close, etc, etc. So I don't want to go on too long, but I feel like this video is just going to be a bit more free and rambly, so it is what it is right now. So there you go. There would even be another item here. So you'd have 5 items. One of them's bought, so 4 items. It's kind of ridiculous. So, yeah. That is bizarre, because they've done changes to maps that no one actually wants. Do you know what I mean? Like that floodplains and stuff like that. These are maps that people don't really think were good in the first place. And making changes to them aren't really going to be enough. It's nice that you're going to make a change and perhaps improve the map, but it's not going to be enough because the map's still shit. If you're going to change a map, change this one. You don't even have to change that much. That would probably be the only thing I'd change. I actually like Gnoll Wood. The only thing I would change is probably make the creeps in the middle tougher, because it's totally exploitable, as all Fountain of Health camps are, generally speaking, as a Blade Master. Secret Valley, cough cough. You know, you can exploit the heck out of that one with Blade Master. Yeah, I'm going on a bit now, but yeah, you get the idea. So, that's the 1 versus 1 maps. So, we're going to move on to 2 versus 2. Oh, God. Alright. Avalanche. I never liked this map. I come across as quite negative in this, don't I? I'm not really trying to. I do totally appreciate what Blizzard are trying to do. And I like... Plunder Isle was the best start. Those changes are great. I hope they're talking to the professionals, though. I'm not a professional 1 versus 1, but I definitely have some good opinions. Well, that sounds really arrogant. I would say some good thoughts. At least, personally, I think so. So I suppose I do think I have good opinions, and I stand by them, generally speaking. I don't think I'm talking out my arse or talking too much hot air. I think I have some weight to my thoughts, but there's people that have much better weight to their thoughts, and those are the actual people that play professionally. So Blizzard are obviously keeping close contact with China because these maps weren't originally played in NetEase. In fact, they even had the show match, 120 versus Fly, didn't they? So the idea would be that hopefully they've got someone that can communicate with these Chinese professionals and, you know, get a grasp of what it is that they think is best. Because they're probably going to be quite honest. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, you should totally do this. It will totally benefit my race, cough, cough. I think they would, they're probably very sensible people. They probably would be just like, this is what's good for the game. Do this. And that's what they need to do. Anyway, let's shit on Avalanche. It's changed, basically. They swapped the East and West Gold Mine expansions with Goblin Merchants. So you don't even have the expansions on the sides anymore. But no one really used those. So that's an okay change. This is an okay change. No one used the Gold Mine over here. This used to be a Fountain of Health. That's now been swapped out for mercenary camps. That's an okay change. I don't mind that. The Fountain of Health made it kind of interesting, though, because it would be a fight for struggle to get there ASAP. And then if your opponents try to creep jack you, you've at least got the benefit of healing up whilst you're sort of like fighting with them trying to poke at you. They removed the lower cliff to the expansion. So I think it's just rocks now. It used to be a cliff, a ramp that went down, and this used to be one tier level down, but that's probably fine. Yeah, that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. The changes are good on this map. I just don't like this map. So that's me personally. I don't like this map, but the changes they've made are good. So you have to then question, is it a good thing that they're bothering to change maps that are still shit? This is my opinion. You might think this map is great. I don't know. But in my opinion, you can make these good changes, which they have done, but it feels redundant because it's on a map that I don't ever want to play. If I see this map, if I'm playing with Sexy Time or whatever in 2 vs 2, I want to veto this map. I don't like this map. That's a personal opinion. We've all got our own personal opinions of which maps are good or bad. But generally speaking, I think a lot of us really... I think we know which maps are good and which maps we like. You know what I mean? There's a general consensus. I don't think there's that many people going, man, Avalanche, that's the best. That's the... Oh, man. I would play 2v2 all day if that was the only map on the ladder. I don't think there's people saying that. So we covered Bridge Too Near. That was that map with all the bridges, funny enough. Duskwood is our next one. You know what? I'm going to get towards the end of this. I'm going to find out that I never recorded anything. I'm looking at it. It says it's recording, but I'm going to look at it. So, file is corrupt. I hope you guys are enjoying this. If you are, then please make sure to thumbs up the video and stuff like that. I don't normally do so long a rambly video like this. It's been a while, but it's been a while since Blizzard have done any changes. So when Blizzard do changes, I'm much more likely to do vlog-style news videos where I'll give my honest opinions and try to be as upfront about it and show you as much as possible. But I will edit these things down in future. This is really rough right now because it's just kind of a reactions video. But in future, other videos which it would be on a smaller scale, like if I was just covering Duskwood, which I probably won't because I don't think it's worthwhile. I'm much more likely to cover the 4v4 maps or the 1v1 maps, or even 2v2 maps that aren't necessarily Duskwood. You know what I mean? I'd put more effort into making them more flashy, and I like to condense as much info. When I'm doing an edited video, right? You know this. You've seen videos. I try to keep them as short as possible. I want to jam as much information in there as possible and be as concise and clear as possible. As you can see, this video is 49 minutes because this is what happens when I don't edit, when I don't create a script for me to see. Because I write the script because it's what I would say, but I can't speak so quickly and clearly without reading. And funny enough, I can't read for shit, so it takes some time to record it all out. Anyway, this is just rambling, and I think we've got to that point. Replaced Fountain of Health with a tavern at the center of the map. That's fine. Tavern's good. The Fountain of Health wasn't really doing that much on this map. I didn't mind it. I didn't have an issue with it, but I didn't think it was going to be such an issue to be gone either. Removed red creek camps from the center of the map. Again, that's good because you don't want your tavern to be guarded by red creek camps, because those were there for the fountain. Replace all the gold mines on the north, south, east, west locations with a goblin observatory. So that's this, etc. That's fine. The gold mines are there for the players. They're nearby. That's okay. You've got access to a lab and a mercenary camp. I don't think this map is that good, by the way, because things like these ramps and these long pathways, I don't like maps that make you go down a path and then you have to go back on yourself. I like maps that have a flow. There's a general... Oh, let me get my drawing tool out. There's a sort of, oh, I'm going to creep this and then I'm going to go around here kind of thing. There should be always directions to go. Always another path to take. 3 to 4 lanes, ideally. Wherever you go. Something like this, you know, you can go this way, you can go that way, you can go up here. That kind of stuff. And there's some maps that do that so well, and then there's maps like this that don't. You get blocked. It feels clunky. I don't like it. That's a personal opinion. Deal with it. They replaced the single red creek camp at the north east with 2 orange creek camps. Oh, right, yeah. I think it used to be 1 gold mine here. And it used to be a bunch of dragons and maybe some furbolgs. Now you got 2 separate orange creek camps. So that's better, because that's more realistic to creep. Although you could obviously 2v2 the dragons, but you still need a fair force. And they added an additional green camp, which is always good at the start. I don't mind that. I think that's always good. Multiple little green camps. You can't go too far wrong with too many green camps, to be honest. As long as you've got enough orange and red camps. But, you know, you can't go too far wrong with a few extra green camps, because sometimes they don't get crept at all. That doesn't matter. They're still there. There's something to do. Maybe the game goes to a stalemate position where every bit of gold counts, and then you still got a few green camps to finish off, because they weren't worth creeping for the experience. They weren't worth creeping for the item, but damn straight they're going to be worth creeping for the gold, at least a little bit extra to get that invulnerability potion for your Blade Master so you can win the game. I don't know. But yeah, you can't go wrong with too many little green camps. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's fine. Duskwood is what Duskwood is. I think it's an old map. It should be retired. I think we're done with it. But Blizzard clearly wants to try to revamp it. But there's better 2v2 maps. Again, like Twisted Meadows is gone. Turtle Rock is it gone in 2v2? No, it actually isn't. No, good luck. Good news. That one isn't. That's actually still with us. I thought that one had gone. I think they took Turtle Rock from the 1 versus 1 ladder pool, though. And people were upset about that, because that was actually okay for 1 versus 1. The positioning could be a bit off if you got too close to your opponent. But they had a fix for that in War 3 Arena, where you couldn't spawn close to your opponent. They would always be in one of the other opposite two. So, for example, red could not be spawned next to blue, but his opponents would always be either purple or teal if you spawn in red's position. And if you were in purple's position, the same again. You wouldn't be next to that person next to you. Do you see what I mean? Anyway, Frozen Clover. This is a map that I don't think is that good. It's a map. I try not to be too negative, so I just say it's a map instead of saying it's a bad map. Replace the center Red Creek cap with a tavern. That's fine. That makes it more accessible. I like that, at least. It means you got more maneuverability. You got places to go. You got pathways to take. Remove the cliffs from the player's bases and center of the map. It's hard to say because I can't... Well, I could look at the original map, but again, the video is going to take so long and it'd be so hard to compare. You have to photo memorize it all when I swap between the maps, because I can't compare them side to side, because I can't open up 2 world edits, unfortunately. So, yeah. What? Added a 3rd lane to the player's base. So you got like 1. Did they really, though? 1. And that's 2. So 1, 2, really. I mean, you could argue that. If that was blocked off beforehand, maybe. Let's move on from this map. Meh. Don't play 2 versus 2, basically, by the looks of it. Alright, so our next map is actually Moonglade, which I've got to go and find. The new map pool. Let's go find Moonglade. Where are you, Moonglade? It's an original map, so that's why I can't find it very quickly or easily. I think I need another file. Hold up. Bear with me. So if I've got this, Because they moved the files, didn't they? Some of my files are in Warcraft 3 in D, Warcraft 3 maps, and then the other files are in Documents, Warcraft 3 maps. So bear with me a second as I look for Moonglade. Moonglade. Okay. This is an original map. No changes to this. This is similar to the Gnoll Wood issue, except this map's way worse than Gnoll Wood. It's a map that has issues. I don't think it's that good. There's really not that much to do with it. There's nothing too exciting in the middle. Heck, the Reign of Chaos version, I think, used to have at least mercenary camps in the middle. It has no shops. It has no Goblin Laboratory. It has no marketplace. It has no mercenary camp. It has nothing. Why is this map here? Retire it. This is such a filler map. Such a filler map. Okay. Now I've got to swap back. Back at it again. Maps, new map pool to 2v2. And now I'm going to find Phantom Grove. Oh, we know this one. They made some changes to this. I don't mind it too much. You had some fun games on this. I did a game with Sexy Time before where we were orcs and it was Blade Master. I think it's called Blade Master Barrage. And it was about orcs and trying to attack our opponents from the back of their bases or something like that with catapults and the Blade Masters. And there's also a time where I played with, I think it was Always Lazy. And we did mass moonwells in the middle of the map. It looks a lot more depressing in this setting as opposed to the green setting, but I think it fits the theme better, and that's what they were going for, because there's these ghosts and these wolves everywhere. It looks a bit more glum in general. You got the ghosts over here, so that's what they were going for. So they say change the tile set from Lordaeron Summer to Lordaeron Fall. Added deep water to certain parts of the map to help define expansions. I don't like this because it closes off points, but it's not the biggest problem. But this map was one of the good ones. It was too big, in my opinion, but it wasn't too dissimilar to Twisted Meadows. It was like a budget Twisted Meadows, where there was at least, you know, ways to go, pathways to go. Now you got to go here, 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 here. I just don't block things off. I mean, I get what you're doing, but don't do it. Swap the orange and green expansion creep camps. I don't think that's even really worth looking into. And they expanded upon the creep theme by using creep from a... That's seriously what it says. Expanded upon the creep theme by using creep from a different tile set to thematically fit point of interest. So that's basically this stuff over here. And yeah, it works. Yeah. They didn't really improve the map, in my opinion. They didn't, mostly because of this. Otherwise, they did improve the map. It was okay. It's not a glowing report, is it? Rivers of Souls. We covered this map. That was that icy looking one that I didn't like and you don't like. So let's not even worry about that one. Tidewater Glades. I can't remember if I did that. I think I did for 1 versus 1. Maybe not, actually. Tidewater Glades. No, I don't think I did, actually. That's something different. Oh, here we go. Oh, God, this one. I always liked this map because it was exploitable, but it was still punishing. This creep camp is not easy, but if you do this, you can get a level 4 permanent item. So you can sometimes pull the wolf, and if you're good enough, get a surround on it and try to kill it as quickly as possible. But the range units are still nasty. It's hard creep camps, but the level 4 permanent item... hang on a second. Has that changed to permanent item? Did it just say permanent? Oh, shit. That used to be a level 4 charged item. The idea was that you would basically get a Book of the Dead, or try to get a Book of the Dead, and rush your opponent. That's what me and Pracket used to do. Level 4 permanent item is very strong as well. You know, Boots of Quell Flash, that kind of stuff. So I didn't mind this map because it... I didn't like the map because it has issues with aggro sometimes. But I thought it was quite a fun map, and I think they've improved upon this, I think, actually. So they've rotated the 3 neutral buildings. Goblin Laboratory has moved to the mercenary camp, so that's swapped places. This used to be the mercenary camp. This used to be a shop, and the Goblin Lab used to be here. So those have all swapped around, and they've changed the layout to better define intended gold mine expansions. How have they done that? Maybe they've blocked it with more trees on this side or something for that player. I'm not sure exactly. It doesn't look that different to me. So I don't know in regards to the expansions in the gold mine, but this map's fine. I think it's an interesting one. It still has the overpowered item drop though, does it? If you kill this berserker, it used to be this small trapper, I think. They swapped it over to a berserker, but a berserker's still quite quick to kill. 450 health isn't too much. Again, claws of attack +9 potentially. That's what you would do with a blade master. But it was next to a shop, so you could buy your circlet and then creep it. Now you would have to come over to the shop and then go over there to do it. And, well, basically you wouldn't probably do that. So you wouldn't have the circlet of nobility to give you a head start first. So that's a fairly good balance strategy. I think this is fine. This is one of the better ones. Turtle Rock. Let's go. Justin. There. Now this is an original map. So they've not changed anything. I'm just basically showing you this for the sake of it. It's a cool map. You get a lot of interesting games on it. Give me 1 second. Okay, I think we are back. So, Turtle Rock. Tis a fine map. They've not changed anything. I've always thought this map was frustrating to play at times. But generally speaking, I've enjoyed games that have been played on it. Like, back to Warcraft when he cast the 1v1 pros. And a lot of the time they'll play on this map. And a lot of the times you'll get some really fun games on this map. I don't know, it just must be some sort of magic where everything is in the right place and there's the opportunities. There's lots of pathways to take. There's lots of high risk but high reward camps. So there's a lot of flavour on this map. So it's been essentially relegated a little bit down to 2v2 ladder pool. So it's no longer a 1 versus 1, so you're not going to get those epic 1v1 games with it. But at least it still exists in 2v2. Now, let's move on to Duststorm. They have swapped out the center expansion gold mines with neutral buildings. So 2 mercenary camps, 2 goblin merchants, and 2 goblin laboratories. They've removed all the neutral buildings. So first of all, let's just look at the center expansion points. That would probably be... Oh, yes, that's this. So this is like that free-for-all map. I'm sure I've got a video of me getting screwed on free-for-all on this map. Probably quite a few of them, to be frank. But you used to have a gold mine that was pretty easy to get, but also pretty easy to be punished by map hackers, which I totally fought against all the fucking time on this map. It's a map hacker's wet dream, this map. They've removed all the neutral buildings from start location plateaus. Okay. I think there used to be a mercenary camp up here. Or a shop. Or was it a laboratory? I think it's a laboratory. But it's not like there anymore. Which is interesting. Because if this is on the free-for-all pool, which it is, this is also... This is accessible for the 2v2 map pool and for the free-for-all. Your luck might depend on what spawn position you get and what benefits you the most. Does a shop benefit you the most? Does a goblin laboratory benefit the most? Does a mercenary camp benefit the most? I'd probably say shop control is the most important one. Then you've got that control. But it's not impossible for opponents to come down this lane because this is not an expansion. There's not going to be towers and that here like you would normally build towers here to block off your entrance. So it's still going to be accessible to get to, you know, the vital camps without going too deep into enemy territory. So generally speaking, for Duststorm, which is an interesting map. It provides some flair, but I think it has many grievances and imbalances. These improvements, they are actually improvements, but do you know what I mean? I'm tilting on the edge of, again, is this a map that you can improve it all you want, but it's still not really going to make it a great map? I feel like I'm on the edge on this one. They added an Orange Creek camp to the expansion gold mines. So, yes, that's this here. And it's pretty tough. And no. What is this? It's a fucking flying unit. A fucking flying unit at your natural gold mine. No! What do Orc do if they're going grunts? They have to forcibly build a war mill, get headhunters, which is going to hurt their tier 2 and so forth, just so they can creep their gold mine and get access to gold. Everyone should have access to their gold mine. So no flying units over shops, over, you know, gold mines, vital stuff like that. Okay, maybe you can have some flying dragons over a really important dragon roost or a marketplace, but not over fundamental stuff. You know what I mean? I don't like it being over fundamental stuff. They swapped out Orange Creek camp in the corner for each start with a green camp as well. So that's this as well, a little green camp. Because why not? The map's an improvement, but not that big an improvement. And Gnoll Wood, we've already covered, is the other map for 2v2. Now, we move on to 3v3. This will get quicker and easier. So there's Gnoll Wood again for 3v3. So we don't need to worry about that. Hinterland Raid. Now, I believe they've made no changes to Hinterland Raid. I don't know why. But it says it's an original map. Maybe they intend to make changes to it. So this is one of the interesting things. Is, you know, I was bitching about Moonglade and Gnoll Wood and how their original maps are not changed. They might get changed. Maybe that's why they're actually still being put on the PTR, so people can play them and give their opinions about them, and then Blizzard can use those opinions to then make the changes. They just haven't got around to doing the changes now. I'm totally open to that idea. This map, I played it in 3v3. I think Reign of Chaos? Maybe no. Maybe this is in TFT, because it has got taverns in it, and I think it might still be a TFT map. Not a big fan of it. I think it's a gimmick map. It's nice to get every once in a while, but you wouldn't want to play competitively on this piece of rubbish because of ramps and awkward pathways and too linear sort of access points to your opponent's base, no sort of flow otherwise. This weird empty gold mine, which I guess is supposed to emphasize a fast rush to gold mine, but to be punished by the opponents. Yeah, it's got its gimmicks, but I don't think there's that much else going for this map. Our next map is Monsoon. Welcome to Free For All, the game where everyone's a fucking lucker except for you. That's this map. That's the one. That's the one we all know and love. The map where I've got fucked so hard, so many times, and never in a good way, in Free For All situations. I even remember where I spawn on these maps. Like, mostly on the right-hand side, but oh god, it's depressing me thinking about it. This map is actually kind of okay. It's a weird map. It's a little bit linear until you get towards the middle. Then you can branch off into different paths. So let's go over some of the changes they made. They swapped Goblin Merchant with mercenary camps. Excuse me. So 4 Goblin Merchants to 2 Goblin Merchants, and 2 mercenary camps to 4 mercenary camps. So they've reduced the amount of shops, but they've increased the amount of mercenary camps. So the shops, they can be found here where the mercenary camp used to be, and here, which I actually don't like, because there's the opportunity for a player to get an expansion nearby and therefore potentially have shop control if they can get enough towers around the area. But it's not impossible to get to that shop. You can still skulk around here and avoid the majority of towers and control. And there's obviously another shop that you can go to if the worst case scenario. It's unlikely they'll have both the expansion. If they have, you probably lost the game anyway. Yeah, the mercenary camps are on the inner part, so more accessible to the players. The shops are just more difficult to get to. I honestly wouldn't mind, you know, just something like that. Like, I don't like the whole have to walk around here to get to the shop. What if this player just needs to quickly nip to the shop? They can do that. It's a very narrow path, and then they can just come back down. And it's a similar deal with this, except you can't really do the same because it's not exactly symmetrical, because you can see there's a mercenary camp there, whereas the other mercenary camp's over here. But you get the idea. This is for Blizzard to decide on what they're going to do. Added a second green creek camp to each start location. Always a good thing. So, always a good thing. I think it's this one here. It's just a little bit extra to do in case you got a rough start and you're not able to go for an expansion or move on to Orange Creek camps. You've got something to do. They removed the pure Golem creep camps for better player engagement with creep camps. So, this is good news. It used to be 3 stone golems, I think. And you know how bad it is when you fight... Or rock golems, sorry. You know how bad it is when you fight one of these buggers because of the hell boulder. When you're fighting 3 of them, like in Golems the Mist stack. It's funny, but it's also a bit of a nightmare. At least you can pull those back and manipulate their AI. But the problem was... And they're talking about player engagement. In a map like this, where you might likely be playing it in a free-for-all situation, it is obviously for team here as well, but you'd quite likely play it in free-for-all. You don't want to be getting bouldered by 3 rock golems whilst you're getting creepjacked by someone behind you, potentially 2 people behind you. It was such a risky move, so now this just encourages players to be a bit more, you know, risk-reward. Level 4 charged item, pretty good. So, you know, you can get some big reward for doing that. So, yeah, no, the changes are fine. They've changed it to constant rain as well. That's okay. I think they've done good by this map. It didn't need that much changing anyway. River of Souls. Did we look... Oh, no. This is a slightly different one, I think, to the other Souls map or whatever it was, is it? Let's open it up. This is another one I don't think I'm a big fan of. Yeah, this is... I always felt like this was a snowball map. I just remember games on this map being one side wins quite decisively. It's kind of bland. It's not that much to do. The creeps are quite far away. There's not that many of them. And then once you're done, you go to the middle. A couple of goblin shops. Sure, why not? There's an exposed expansion to, you know, reward players for trying to take it, but at the same time they're totally exposed to the elements. And there's this Fountain of Health, might as well, get rid of it. It's original map, by the way. They haven't made any changes. Ruins of Stratholme. Now this is really weird. I don't think it should be in the ladder pool though. But it's cool to look at. But I don't think you want to play it. It's cool to look at. Not cool to touch, though. So that's Stratholme in the middle. You can't go on any of this surface. Just look at that minimap. It's gorgeous. But I don't think this is a great map to play. You would spawn here. You've got 2 very linear paths to exit your base. It's bridges. Are those blockable doodads? They are. So ground can't get down there. So I guess if you had a Zeppelin, you wouldn't be able to drop anything down there. That's if you do have a Zeppelin on this map. You got Mercenary Camp. You got Goblin Shop. There's no laboratory anyway. This is a 3v3 only map, by the way. So I guess it does potentially have a place. It's a brawler. Because there's not really that many creek camps. And I suppose there are some, and they're on the outskirts, so it's not too risky. I don't know enough about this map to slag it off. Do you know what I mean? I'm willing to give this one a try, and then slag it off. You know? It's a little linear in the pathways, but because it's 3v3, I think you can have some gimmicks. Thunder Lake is our next map. It's got to be like a competition winner, isn't it? Who made this map? Thunder Lake. They've added 2 taverns to the north and the south. Oh, fucking get rid of this map. They've added 2 taverns to the north and the south of the lake, so you'll be super excited to know about that. This looks like a free-for-all map. This is a map that is for... Let me see. I wrote this down. I made some notes. Free-for-all. It's for 3v3 and free-for-all. So perhaps just keep this. I mean, okay. No, all right, okay. I see maps this big and my head explodes. But when you think about 3v3 maps and 4v4 maps, I think it's okay to have maps that are a little bit bigger, a little bit more. What's the word? Not so much barren, but there's more space to work with. So, okay, I'm not going to go too harsh on this. We'll go over the changes, because this is an LV, latest version. 2 taverns, 1 either side on the north and the south. Swap the Goblin Merchant with all 6 mercenary camps. So this is where it gets a bit more confusing, because I'm not familiar with this map in the first place, so it's hard to tell the differences. Swapped Goblin Merchant with all 6 mercenary camps. So there was a Goblin Merchant. I guess these used to be Goblin Merchants and now they're Goblin Mercenary Camps instead. I mean, okay. They've added 2 Goblin Merchants and 2 Goblin Laboratories and 2 Marketplaces where the Center Gold Mine expansions were. So instead of having gold mines here, etc., you've got your shops, you've got your markets. So 2 marketplaces, man. This is a free-for-all map. Oh my goodness. The only thing that would make this map better is if you could travel through the middle. Again, I've said this quite a few times through this video, but I just like pathways. So, boom. So if you wanted to move through the middle of the map, obviously you would edit this and change this to be a little bit smoother and better, but I don't like being too locked and having to run around in circles. I like to be able to go through the middle of a map. I love that. So any maps that have that, I've got a personal bias to them. And they removed the double cliff ramp into the start location. So assumably there was 2 cliffs or an extra height. So they've minimized it. I think they want to minimize it so there's only like 1 cliff. And what a cliff is basically is this to a degree. You see, that's the lower ground. This is the higher ground. So you've got this here. Increase 1. Increase 1. So they want to avoid this, basically. They want to keep it as low down to the ground as possible. Oh, Typhoon is our next map. This is an original map, so no changes. Now, this map, honestly, if I was looking at this without having seen competitive games played on it, I would say this is a map that needs to be scrapped. I've even played it myself. But I have played it and I've seen people play this. And I've been entertained almost all the time on this map. It's a little gem. It looks really basic. Like, there's your player, there's your player, there's your player. There's a gold mine in between. There's 1 goblin shop. There's 1 mercenary camp and a couple of taverns. Boom, knock yourself out. There's a Fountain of Mana in the middle. You know, happy days. I think the Fountain of Mana is basically what gives this map a little bit more flair. If it didn't have that, it would be really bare. Because bear in mind, you haven't got a laboratory. You've only got 1 shop and 1 mercenary camp. That's not much, is it? For a 6-player map. And then you've got these weird creeps on the outskirts that feel a bit clunky, but I suppose they give pathways. So the map, honestly, I don't know how I would improve it, though. But I've seen people play this. I've played it myself, and some of those games have been great games. So it's really hard to go against Typhoon. So I think I'm going to leave it on that one. Upper Kingdom. This is a map I think some people hate to play. I even fear it. It's really quite intimidating, especially if you're against an actual decent team. It's kind of like a left versus right thing. So you've got all 3 team members relatively close to each other, and then it's a full-scale assault, but on a smaller scale. And then those ones go against you. You got the landmines? The gold mines. There we go. It's because I had goblin on my mind. Mine. Gold mine. I've been talking too long. Okay. Gold mines. These are at the back. That's fine. Allows the players to at least secure an expansion, maybe two. And then you got the more risky one on the outside. The big reward creek camp in the middle. It's an original map. I don't think there's many changes needed for this one. It works quite well in 3v3. I've seen it in tournaments. I've seen people make good use of the map. It's plenty of open space to work with. So you don't have to worry about too much linearity. I don't think that's a word, but I'm going to use it. So yeah, that's fine. Battleground. Oh. Right. Are you ready for this, guys? I think I need to put timestamps in the video description because people might be interested in only 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, 4v4, etc. Right. We're getting into the last sections. We are going to be moving on to the maps that I think interest us the most. And those are the maps that are 4v4 maps. Now, this is actually a 3v3 map, but it's also a 4v4 map. Don't ask me why it's a 3v3 map, because I don't think it should be, but the map we're looking at now is Battleground. Yeah, this is a map I play a lot in 4v4. It's had quite a few changes. So we're going to start off with, here's your spawn position. Your nearby creek camp, which used to be an orange creek camp, but is now a lighter green camp, is still far away, not really worth the travel time, and rewards you a little bit less experience. The item's okay though, but not great. So that was a bad change for this map. They also changed it so that you no longer have a mercenary camp here. I actually know this map very well, so I don't even need to look at the notes, but I'm going to read out what they said anyway, just for your sake. They swapped the neutral buildings around the edge of the map with the gold mines. So, for example, this used to be a mercenary camp. This used to be a goblin shop. So now those are basically, and etc., etc. for all the other positions. Now those are gold mines. They swapped the center gold mines. So they, bloody hell, camera. Gold mines used to be here, here, etc. So now you've got the shops and the mercenary camps there and there. So that's interesting, at least. You move towards the middle, you pick up some scrolls of heal and then go attack your enemy base, that kind of thing. Like you're going towards an objective and agenda. Whereas previously you had to travel up this ramp. Oh. Oh, no. What? What? That doesn't work, though. This is one of their worst changes. I think I prefer the gold mines being in the middle and the shots being where they were, because I've played this map many a time, and half the fun I had was trying to secure the gold mines in the middle, despite my own team getting incredibly frustrated with me because I would be basically dicking around, but it was fun. But these gold mines are so imbalanced. So imbalanced. What is that? This weird pokey base out here that's blocked. This is a little bit more realistic, but it's so on the outskirts. It's like a more exposed Market Square expansion. But what is this? Oh, I'll just enjoy my fucking ramp. Why does this have a ramp? Because it used to be a goblin shop and they haven't got rid of the ramp. And it's so far back. Fucking gold mine of the winner chicken dinner. I mean, that's his natural expansion. This is the weird thing. Whose naturals are these? Pink? That can't be your natural expansion, can it, Pink? Because that's pretty fucking far away. Is this your natural expansion? Because that's pretty fucking far away. This guy has a natural expansion really close and really close. And the great thing about this one is, this is what I thought when I initially thought of the map. Flame strike, destroy trees, kill creeps, happy days, and then move this. I mean, you may need to flame strike again if you really want to, just to, for argument's sake, pull that over. But you get it. Oh, fucking hell, it's not playing ball. Come here, you fucker. There we go. It's that kind of area. You could probably find a perfect place to flame strike, and you can get an expansion. It's really close to your base. It's burrowed in here. You can build towers and all this kind of stuff. Ah, man. This is bad. This needs some serious work if they want to put gold mines here. I think it's one of those maps where you just had to accept that you probably wasn't going to get an expansion. There's some of those maps. I think that, honestly, I'm a big proponent for everyone having the fundamentals. Like I said, the shop, the gold mine, have that all accessible. I agree, especially as a human player. But I was able to accept that certain maps I couldn't expand on. I mean, I tried, in the middle at least, but this is not right. They don't work. They're not natural at all. No. No, the positions are just off. I mean, what the fuck? Look at this position. Imagine flame striking twice there. Ah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't like it. Murgul Oasis is our next map. So let's find that. Well, actually, this is barely even warrants talking about, to be quite frank with you. They've done one thing, and that's make it worse. They removed the Fountain of Mana. So, there used to be a tavern here. Oi. Used to be a tavern here. And I wonder if I can get access to it. Fountain of Mana there. And it was great. I liked it. It gave a little bit of flavour. You moved towards the middle of the map. You try to get rewarded. You were exposed because you were smack bang in the middle. You were also quite far away from the action if you went to the middle. But you would get the reward of the mana and your time spent there. And later on in the game, it helps to create these camps, which are incredibly difficult. And it's just a nice little boon, you know? I don't know why they needed to remove it. Maybe there was balance issues they felt. But without it, it feels really bare and almost pointless going to the middle now. Because that was the point. Sometimes you go to the middle and you'd be like, oh shit, I should really be over here helping someone or, you know, pushing some creep in. But I could really do with some mana right now. That would really give me a big boost and then go harass again. But you got there's no choice now. Choice is a good thing. There's no choice now. You just stick down the linear path. Okay, so that was in a 3v3 ladder pool as well. So Murgul Oasis is in 3v3. Again, it's really a 4v4 map, but it can work in 3v3. At the Battleground, again, 3v3, 4v4. I think it's even a free-for-all map, Battleground. But, yeah, we're going to proper 4v4 maps now. So let me pull that up. Oh! Gold Rush. Possibly my favorite map. It's tough. It's kind of in between this and Market Square as to which one I prefer. But I had so much fun on this map. I'm going to get nostalgic now just looking at it. It's a gorgeous map. Look at all the pathways you can take. It's just gorgeous. And there's so much to do on this map. The funny thing is I was slagging off previous maps for having this kind of weird barren look where you would go all the way to a corner, creep, and then another corner and creep. But for some reason on this map it felt like it worked. Maybe because the gold mines were spaced up in between and there were at least a purpose to go there. Rather than this shitty shop in the corner of the map. It made more sense for a gold mine. And anyway, you wouldn't necessarily do that until later on. You'd still want to try to dominate the middle a little bit to get mercenary camp and goblin shop control. And sometimes some of the easy stuff from the Goblin Merchants, Ogre Magi, although they're not that good rewards. It's an original map. They've not made any changes. There's only one change I would make to this map, and that's to put a market square into it. In fact, scrap that, make 2 changes. It doesn't even have a laboratory, but you don't notice it too much on this map. But a laboratory is always nice. Again, like I say, more shops, more kind of stuff like that. It could do with a laboratory. I think I might need to reload my world edit. It's starting to really slow down now. But yeah, a lab shop, marketplace. I want a marketplace top tier though. That's my first prerogative with this map. But fantastic map. Great to see it on the ladder pool again. Very excited to play some games on that. Our next map is Market Square. Again, we're only going to very briefly look at this map. We know it. It's exactly the same as it has been before. They haven't made any changes. I really hope they don't make any changes because this map couldn't really be much more perfect. It is almost a perfect map. If I get this in 4v4, I've hit the jackpot. There's always something to do on this map. The only time where this map sucks is if you're a Night Elf and you're getting stream sniped by an Orc player. So you can't take an expansion and they just go mass bats, and it's really easy to harass with air on this map and hard to punish. That's the only downside to this map, is it's hard to punish. And it's weird because this map has ramps. Like ramps into the base, which is normally a no-no, you know? It's like, no, that's a bad thing. We shouldn't have that in this day and age. I wouldn't even mind if you got rid of the ramps, to be honest, and had more trees blocking this path and still have this open part. But they've never really been a problem. I don't think anyone ever had a problem with the ramps before. I think part of the reason why the ramps exist is because the map is kind of small in terms of the scale of how many players it has, 8. So you can get to your opponent really quickly. So the ramp is kind of there as a form of defense. So I get that. But yeah, this map's great. Don't change this map too much, Blizzard, please. It's fucking great, this map. The only thing it does need, though, ironically, it's called Market Square. It doesn't have a marketplace. And if any map in the current map pool needs a marketplace, it's this map. Why? Because it has some of the most amazing items you can get. Level 7 artifact item. Claws of Frost, baby. And there's also, you know, infernals and stuff. So if these creep camps get crept and a marketplace exists, there's the opportunity for those items to pop up again later on for players to pick up. It's just options. Give us options. A marketplace would be so... Why can't these guys be guarding a marketplace? You could easily have them be doing that. I need buildable terrain. There you go. There you go. That's a base idea. You'd obviously position it better, but you could have a marketplace. Imagine 4 marketplaces. Holy shit, on this map. It's probably overkill, and it's hard to fit a marketplace in the middle when you've got these fountains here as well, which are also awesome. So I agree. If you were to put a marketplace, it's like you either put 1 in the middle, which is clunky, or you put 4, which is almost too much. But I wouldn't want you to change anything else. I wouldn't want you to remove the Goblin Lab. The Goblin Merchant Camp for it. You know, this map also doesn't have a laboratory. So can we have a laboratory, please? Without fucking anything else up. Just stick a laboratory at the back here. There we go. No one's living there anymore. I've vacated them. There we go. Look at that. Fucking laboratory. Boom. I've solved your problem. Oh, how about this? How about this? There we go. I fixed it, Blizzard. Perfect. I've gone and made this map, which was pretty much perfect, even better. You got lab there, marketplace there, another lab here, marketplace there. How gorgeous is that? Come on now. Right, let's go on to our next. Oh, Battleground we've covered. And I covered that more from a 4 versus 4 perspective, but that was for 3v3 and also for free-for-all. For free-for-all, it's not so bad. But that's the thing. The changes they made, those gold mines, clunky, not balanced, that's still bad for free-for-all. but it kind of makes... You can get away with it more in free-for-all. Free-for-all is a bit more sporadic, a bit more random as to what you're going to get. You don't need perfect symmetricality, I think, in free-for-all as opposed to team games. Right. Deadlock. Oh, yeah. I quite like this map. It's not a map I love. It's just... It's one of the average to good maps in the 4v4 ladder pool. Where you're quite happy to get it. There's worse maps. Think of it that way. Right, they only really changed a couple of things here. Swapped out the center gold mines with marketplaces. Beautiful. Very nicely done. Love marketplaces. Fucking love them. So, this is fine. The goblin... the gold mines... I think this is one of the most acceptable times you can basically remove a gold mine or something like that without it annoying players. Because honestly, no one really used those gold mines. Yes, there's strategies where you could use them. Effective strategies where a lot of the time people would, forego the opportunity to, take the opportunity to take the gold mine because very few people even bother to scout the middle. People only went through the middle when they had to. Otherwise, they'd always be going around the other outer rim. So, Marketplace serves more of a purpose to visit the middle, in my opinion. It's like, oh, what can I pick up now? That would really give us a big boost. Or there could be an exciting item there. So, that's an acceptable change. Swapped locations of Goblin merchants and mercenary camps. So, now, this is a Goblin shop. And that's now a mercenary camp. Doesn't really change too much for me. So, nothing too exciting there. Otherwise, the map is what it is. I think what they've done here is this looks like... I swear this used to be more blocked with trees, and this used to be more blocked with trees, so the gold mine was even safer. Because it was even more blocky to get over to it. More clunky, so they've opened up this space a lot more. So that's kind of nice. It definitely feels like it's a lot more open. Next map. Oh, Ferelas. Okay. Do I have that? There it is. They've added 2 goblin merchants and 2 mercenary camps to the middle. And the expansion gold mine creek camps now drop items. So these are big changes that make this map a lot better. I actually didn't mind this map. Last time remember when they did the map changes about a year? Was it a year and a half ago now, maybe? I quite liked playing this map, but I had one big issue with it, which was players would often tower up. Now in 4v4 you just think, oh okay, we'll just go hit the other base. But if most of the players were smart enough to get themselves an expansion and then at least put a couple of towers by it, it secured them a little bit. Because there's no... What you need is just do that. Because the player would put their base, just say for example it's a town hall, it's easier for me to pull that up, put their base there and you'd have this there. So it's kind of harder to come into their base, but if you get rid of that, suddenly it's a lot more accessible and you can punish them. So that was one thing I didn't like about this map, but it's not a huge issue. It wasn't the biggest broken thing in the world. The changes that Blizzard made though is they put a shop here, they got a mercenary camp here, and the same for the right hand side, which are great changes because they didn't even have them before. There was no shop, there was no mercenary camp. Now you have them. Now there's more to do. Now there's more to look forward to. That's awesome. I might have changed the position of the shops though. Like, I might have preferred to have the shop closer towards the middle so it's more easily accessible to all players. But aside from that, it's okay. It's alright. I'm going to come out of this and then I've got to make sure I don't accidentally save any of these changes. I'm going to just reload this because I'm really feeling the sluggishness. Our next map, by the way, Golems in the Mist. This is one of my favourite maps. I don't exactly know why, but I'm always quite happy to play on it. And I've been playing on it a long time because I think it's been on the ladder pool since the existence of Warcraft 3. But I find it fun, mostly because it has the Hidden Tree expansion. So that gives you options. Because I play random, I could get human. I don't know what I'm going to get. I might get undead, so I can get 1 or 2 ghouls and chop the trees. You chop like 4 trees, whatever it is. And then you make your way into the hidden expansion. But the changes they've made is add an extra green camp. So you've got a new green camp over here, which again, I've said it time and time again, fine. Nothing wrong with that. A little extra to play with, little extra item that you can maybe get a little bit extra experience. More fun. So, the other thing they did, a big change, a huge change for this map is this. The tavern. Oh my. That is a huge change. Really needed to be done, that. Because now you can go any hero. Whereas previously, if you were Night Elf, you were stuck with the shitty Night Elf heroes. So they now had the option of Panda as the second hero or whatnot. They also added 2 mercenary camps and 2 goblin merchants, which are in the positions of where the triple rock golems used to be. Now it's just double rock golems, so it's still quite nasty, but not as bad as triple rock golems. But you got shop, you've got mercenary camp. It's so weird why I like this map so much. And I'm going to like it even more now. Because I liked this map when it didn't have the tavern. When it didn't even have the shop. When it didn't have the mercenary camp. I don't know why. I normally hate maps like that. Maybe it's because it's green. I've got a bias to green maps. But I think I like things like gold mines in the middle as well. Because it's more funky. It's more interesting for players to fight versus and fight over. So these are great. This is... What was it? What was the other map? Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head now, but there was another map I was praising earlier in the video. But that map and Golems in the Mist are the 2 best changes, or the 2 best examples of changes they've made that actually genuinely benefit the map. And they've also made it so that they adjusted the ally properties so teams can be top versus bottom or east versus west. So you could have the top team versus the bottom team, whereas always... it was west versus east. So that's fascinating. This is a great change, though. Golems in the Mist. If I was happy playing that before, I'm really happy playing that now, honestly. That's the kind of change they need to make to update it to TFT. Which they should have done a long time ago, to be frank with you. But that now makes it well and truly worthwhile. So, our next map. We've done Golems in the Mist. Murgul Oasis, we've taken a look at that. Northshire. Oh, yeah. There's quite a few changes to this map. So, bear with me. They've replaced the 4 taverns. I'm going to lose my voice soon. I've almost been talking for 2 hours straight. Replaced the 4 taverns with 2 goblin merchants and 2 mercenary camps. So, we'll take a look in a moment. 4 taverns that used to exist with 2 goblin merchants and 2 mercenary camps. So here, for example, is where the tavern used to be. Now it's a mercenary camp, now it's a shop. Mercenary camp, shop. Good changes. This used to be a shop, this used to be a shop. 2 taverns in the middle. Shop and mercs in the middle but still accessible. Great changes. Good changes. They've added an additional green camp to each starting location. I don't know which one it is. I think it's this one. But again, that's always a good thing. Orange camps at the 4 corners are now red camps. So I assume this used to be an orange camp beforehand. By the way, this is totally exploitable. Totally exploitable. Flame strike. Or just even chopping the trees down, pulling the creeps in, blocking that little pathway, so they clunkily try to get back, but they can't, but you block it with like a peasant, so they're less likely to kill the peasant. They'll still try to, but they'll try to go for your army as well, but they'll be mixed up. I like stuff like that, because I look at that, I look at this, and I think, oh, how can I get an advantage? I love to get an advantage in 4v4 maps, and if it involves exploiting, even better, because I love exploiting. So this map screams to me. I'm going to exploit the shit out of this map, to be honest with you. So they've added additional creek camp. They've orange camps. Oh, swap the 2 goblin. Yeah. Erase the path to the red corner creek camps. Ease the path to it. So I guess there's less trees. I think there was more trees, like thicker trees, which means it's even more exploitable. And they've adjusted the ally properties so teams can be top versus bottom, east versus west. I like that. Even though the map is more or less symmetrical, as you can see, it does change it up a little bit, and it makes it more interesting when you go into a map. I think that's good, just to change it up to be top versus bottom or east versus west in general for as many maps as possible when it comes to 4v4 bigger maps, because it just changes it. It's just a little change. You spawn in a different position. You're like, oh, okay, we're versus the west side now. Oh, it feels different now moving this way. I don't know. It's a small thing, but I like it. Sanctuary is our next map. I don't like this map too much because I think this is much better as a free-for-all map. A big free-for-all map than a 4v4 map, but it's actually only accessible for 4v4 on the new ladder pool. It's big, so I suppose it wouldn't work as free for all though. I was thinking of a different map, actually, to be honest. No, I wasn't. This could work as a free for all because you got the ramps at least to block off the bases. It works as a 4v4 as well. You have got the gold mine. Gold mine, gold mine, gold mine. So each player has a gold mine, and you've got this middle to work towards. You know what? I might take it back. I think this is actually kind of interesting as a 4v4 map. There's even this even riskier red creek camp between the players. I feel like that could be a marketplace though, or something. I don't think that necessarily needs to be a gold mine. You could add the marketplace here, in fact, in the middle. Yeah, I take it back. This map's more curious to me. I don't get the 4 goblin laboratories though. I love the laboratories because it means a shredder, but 4 seems a bit overkill. And they're really close to each other as well. So it's Murgul Oasis also had that as well, so it's not a big deal. So they swapped the 4 mercenary camps with the goblin laboratories. So basically these used to be goblin mercenary camps. Now here they are. They're in the middle. Pretty hard to get to and pretty tough creeps, I think, guarding them. 18 levels in total with a level 8 dark wizard. So if you want to get like a troll berserker or mud golem, good luck with that. I think that's not mud golem in there anyway. I think that's assassin, high troll priest, kobold, that kind of thing. They added a second tavern to the center of the map, so they've got 2 taverns here. The only reason why they didn't put them in the middle is because they got creeps in the middle. But that's where the marketplace could go. You could totally put a marketplace in the middle. Please put a marketplace in the middle. Just make it better. You can't go wrong with a marketplace. It's just fun. The items are incredibly expensive, so it's not like you're exploiting it. And plus, this comes back into the free-for-all. Any free-for-all map, I think, should have a marketplace. As long as there's good creeps. And this map looks like it's got some powerful creeps. So hopefully there's some pretty awesome items. Level 4 charged item isn't too bad. But it's not as exciting as level 7 artifacts. So maybe boost up some of the creeps item drops if you're going to put level 8 creatures in there. Make it a bit more exciting. A bit more of a reason to fight for the middle as well. So I kind of like the aspect of this though, because it does remind me a bit of Market Square where you would try to fight for that middle because you do potentially get that awesome item. There's no more all golem creek camps. That's referring to over here, I think. I think it used to just be like 2 rock golems and a giant granite golem. Now it's like some kobolds. Still pretty tough to do. There's a bit of an item disparity though. Level 5, and then this guy drops to level 1, I think. Level 2 charged items, so you would want to find a way to exploit that. Maybe you could exploit it even further by taking expansion, getting lots of towers, and then just creeping it with the towers. So expansions are quite heavily rewarded in this game, on this map, which is possibly where it would be a bad idea for it to be a free-for-all map, because someone having, say for example, this expansion up here is a lot safer than someone having this position for that. So yeah, I don't know if you could go free for all on this. Yeah, okay. That's this is alright actually. It's one of the bigger maps, which I'm always a bit scared of, but it's nowhere near as dull as Full Scale Assault or Last Man Standing. And Last Man Standing actually has some interesting games on it, but sometimes it has some really dud games. Whereas this feels like it's a lot more flexible for an interesting game, and a lot less likely to get a dud game. Our next map is Twilight Ruins. So we know this one. A very good map, but I feel like I'm a little bit bored of it now. I'm not so happy to see it pop up anymore, but I think that's just because I've overplayed it. I've played it a lot of times. You could say the same for Golems in the Mist, but there's a charm to Golems in the Mist. This is actually a much more complicated, much more worthwhile, deserving map than Golems in the Mist by a long shot. But I feel like I still play this one too much. Anyway, here we are. They swapped the Goblin Laboratories with mercenary camps at the edges of the map, so you now have a Goblin Lab there instead of a mercenary camp, which means that you now have a mercenary camp towards the middle. So there's now 4 mercenary camps instead of 4 labs in the middle. So the labs are now easier to access, and they're also easier to blow up your opponent's expansion if you're going to be putting pressure on, which can be very nasty sometimes, especially if there's like 4 players approaching one player's base. Sometimes it's like 1 person, sometimes 2 people, and on the rarer occasions, but it does happen after the game goes on long enough, 4 people going down one lane to just punish. And if you chuck a couple of sappers in there, you could easily kill a town hall before that person could TP in. Whereas the sappers always felt like they were a bit more risky to buy from here. Even though you still got a relatively easy path in, it just felt like it was harder to do. This feels more sneaky, so it's easier. But that's just my opinion. And they've created 3 distinct difficulties for Orange Creek Camp. So I think they changed how they work. So that's 13 levels, and this is definitely different to what it was. And I think it's possibly better because one of those turtles used to drop something really good. There like used to be 2 turtles, and one turtle used to drop something good, and he's quite easy to kill. If you knew which creeps to creep, it's a bit like Gnoll Wood. You could get some good items very quickly. This map has market squares, great. Don't change that. Otherwise, yeah, no, I don't mind the changes on this map. I'll be interested to play them. It's basically still the same map. Not much has changed here. Not much needs to change. It's just a little bit like rearranging the furniture, to be quite frank with you. Makes it feel a bit more fresh, but doesn't actually change all that much. Our next map, we're going to be moving into Free For All now. Deathrose. I remember playing this map many a time. It's hard to be critical on free-for-all maps because it feels like on free-for-all maps almost anything should go, and stuff that seems broken and imbalanced and not even that well designed can sometimes make for some very interesting free-for-all games. So it's hard for me to be like, oh, well, there should be a shop here, or there should be this there. Why is this creek camp so bare? And, like, you know what I mean? It's going to be harder for me to go this. So I'll just basically talk about what they did. There's better people to talk about free-for-all than myself, because I don't play free-for-all that much, because you know I just get fucked when I do. Deathrose, it's an original map. There's actually no changes to this map, apparently, so it does look a little different to me, but maybe that's just because I'm so zoomed out. It's an okay map. I didn't mind playing on this map. It's small enough, so it's not too depressing to play on such a massive map, and it's got lots of things to give flavour. It did always feel like a map that could snowball, though. But I suppose any map could be accused of that. Duststorm, we've gone over that. Emerald Shores. I don't think we've looked at this one. I don't think this is a particularly exciting map. It's an original map, which means that they've made no changes. So this is how it's going to be. Oh. Yeah, I remember this map. This map always felt a bit broken to me. Like, this was also in the free-for-all ladder pool, I think. And obviously, certain positions are way better than others. So, Emerald Shores is actually only in the free-for-all category, whereas the map like the previous map I just talked about, but I didn't show you it because we've already talked about it. But Duststorm, remember, was a 2v2 map or a free-for-all map, which is really weird. It should only really be a free-for-all map. But anyway, this is strictly a free-for-all map now, which is even harsher because this guy, if he spawns here, has got a very awkward expansion, whereas this guy's got a much more natural, linear, cornered up expansion. So the guys in the middle get screwed, basically. Fountain of Health, interesting. Creek camps up here, interesting, but this feels more like a campaign map than it does, you know, like an actual competitive melee map. So it's like Monsoon, but slightly smaller and slightly more biased towards certain positions. I guess it's okay, but I don't think it's balanced for this. Monsoon is actually the next map, but we've already talked about that. Stranglethorn is the next map that we haven't talked about. And that's also an original map. So with Stranglethorn, this one probably needs to be flat out removed. It's nice and open. Sure, I like that about it. But my god, is it basic. This is where you spawn. This is a small green camp kind of far away. So much wasted space. Why not 2 green camps at least? And an expansion over here. Which is also... it's just kind of bare. But at least players can come in and hit your expansion or go for your main. So I kind of like that. There's a lab, merc, and shop. So it kind of has everything that it needs. But it feels like you're so blocked in. I don't like this map too much. I would normally like more pathways, to be honest with you. Obviously it'd be a bit broken, go to the expansion, but I always like more options rather than one entrance. So meh to that map. We did talk about Thunder Lake. That was that really bastard big one. So that was funny. I think that was in the 3v3 or for free for all. So we'll skip over that. Battleground we've gone over. That was Battleground was for 3v3, 4v4 and free for all. Deadlock is also in the free for all. We talked about that. That's a 4v4 map. Murgul Oasis is also in the 4v4. So we talked about that. And oh, it's also free for all. 3v3. Twilight Ruins, which we talked about very recently, is the 4v4 map. And now that's also a free-for-all map. So that's all the maps. I've covered every single map that Blizzard intend to put into the new map pool. So hopefully you've had a great time watching this video or chilling out, falling asleep to it. Goodness knows what you've been up to. I don't watch you. Only whilst you sleep, not whilst you're awake. So have a good one. Take care. Feel free to thumbs up the video. And I'm going to go drink some hot lemon or something for my throat. So those are my initial takes on all of the maps that are coming. So if you disagree, if you agree, please feel free to let me know in the comments section below what you think can be done to improve these maps. And I can try to take that information on board for when I actually try, hopefully, to get around to doing individual map reviews, which has been a while. It's been a while since I've done map reviews, but I can always redo them because Blizzard are changing. They're changing things. It's exciting. It's news. Let's get going. All right. Take care, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.